Okay, I'm going to tell you something that, honestly, I wish someone had told me years ago. It's one of those lessons that once you get it, you start to see why some people are just insanely productive while the rest of us feel like we're just spinning our wheels.
And I'm not kidding. I am actually pissed off that I had to figure this out the hard way. But hey, the good news is you don't have to. So stick with me for a few minutes because we're about to break down a framework that might just change everything. How you work, how you think about your goals, maybe even your life.
All right, so let's get right into it. The whole thing, the entire concept, boils down to one simple idea: signal versus noise. And this actually came from a conversation I had with Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. He told me he picked this up straight from his time working with Steve Jobs.
And the idea is so simple, it's almost brutal. See, when Steve Jobs was at Apple, he lived by this 80-20 rule. He poured 80% of his energy into what he called the signal. We're talking about the top 3, maybe 5 things that were absolutely mission critical for that day. Everything else, the other 20%, that was just noise. All the emails, the meetings, the little distractions that try to pull you away from what actually moves the needle.
So here's exactly what I do with this, like every single morning. I take my entire to-do list, every task, every idea, every single email, and I force it into one of 2 columns. You've got the signal column, that's my mission for the day. And then you have the noise column. That's for everything else. The stuff you delegate, the stuff you put off, or, my favorite, the stuff you just delete. Seriously, it's a total game changer for getting clear on what matters.
But here's the thing, and this is super important. This is not easy. Johnny Ive, Apple's legendary designer, put it perfectly. Real focus isn't just about saying no to bad ideas. That's the easy part. It's about having the guts to say no to phenomenal ideas, ideas you love, because you have to stay laser-focused on something else. It really is a sacrifice.
Okay, so you've found your signal. You know what you need to do. Now what? How do you actually get the ball rolling? This is the exact spot where so many people, and I mean so many, get it totally wrong. The secret actually comes from this legendary essay by Paul Graham called "Do Things That Don't Scale."
Just look at Airbnb. Way back in the beginning, they realized the photos on their listings were, pretty awful. So what did the founders do? Did they build some fancy photo editing software? Nope. They literally grabbed a camera, went door to door in New York, and took professional photos themselves for their very first users. Could that ever scale? Absolutely not. But you know what? It solved their biggest problem right then and there.
Or how about Stripe? The founders, Patrick and John Collison, they would actually go to their first customers' offices and personally install the software on their computers for them. I mean, talk about hands-on. That is the definition of manual work that you could never, ever do for a billion customers.
And get this, even Facebook started this way. Mark Zuckerberg's big growth strategy at the beginning wasn't some brilliant, complex algorithm. It was just him walking around the Harvard campus, pitching individual students one by one. You literally can't get more unscalable than that.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that obsessing over scale from day one is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. If you try to act like a billion-dollar company right out of the gate, that is the very thing that will stop you from ever becoming one. It's doing those unscalable, manual things that gets you from 0 to 1. It's how you get that critical early feedback to actually figure out what the heck you're doing.
Okay, so you've found your signal. You're doing the unscalable stuff to get started. Now, how do you keep that momentum going? How do you grow? Well, you build a growth engine. And the fuel for that engine? It's all about experimentation, failure, and feedback.
Jeff Bezos absolutely nailed this back in a 2015 letter to shareholders. He said, and I love this, that for Amazon to succeed, it had to be the best place on earth to fail. He knew that for every massive win like AWS, there had to be a whole bunch of failures that, paid for that success. The real risk, he argued, isn't failing. It's not taking enough shots.
And this is the feedback loop that powers everything. It's so simple, but it is so powerful. Look, you produce something, you put it out there, publish it, and then you pay obsessive attention to what happens next. You look at the data, you read the feedback, and then you just repeat the whole process, getting a tiny bit smarter every single time.
And when I say pay attention, I'm not messing around. To this day, I spend 2.5 hours every single day just digging deep into the analytics. Why? Because that data, that's the voice of your audience talking directly to you. It tells you exactly what worked, what totally bombed, where people got bored and left, and what they're craving more of. Every single thing you put out is a data point. Failure is just feedback, and that feedback is knowledge. And that knowledge, that's your superpower to get better.
But you know, after all this talk about analytics and feedback loops and optimizing everything, it kind of leads to a much bigger question, doesn't it? What's the real signal, the ultimate signal that we should all be listening for?
And for me, this is where the whole thing just clicks. The answer to that question, it isn't in some business book or buried in a spreadsheet. It's a lot more personal. This is my dog, Pablo.
So Pablo's been by my side for the last 10 years. Through building businesses, through launching this whole thing, moving to different countries, he's been my one constant, my oldest friend. And right now, he's really, really sick.
And honestly, through him, I think I've learned one of the biggest lessons of my life. Just watching him find pure, absolute joy in something as simple as splashing in a bathtub or chewing on a plastic bottle, it's this constant reminder that life can be so simple, that real happiness can be found in the simplest things.
And having to face the fact that our time together is, well, it's ending, it's made me realize what gives anything in life real value. It's the fact that it's scarce. It's valuable because you only get a limited amount of it for a limited amount of time. You know? Love, friendship, life itself.
And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. With all our focus on productivity and hitting goals and chasing the next thing, what's the simple, joyful signal in your life that you might be accidentally treating like noise?